Howdy y'all, you got the Bulldog on the channel. Got this C6500 top kick here that I was working on the other night, and as you can hear maybe, it's idling down where it needs to. Now, I'll show you here if I can climb up without falling and busting it. Oh! There's the throttle body that they put on. It was running the same way with the old throttle body. So I thought, yeah, I checked it all over for a vacuum leak, which will cause a high idle like that. And I thought, well, about the only thing I can think of is if that vacuum leak is so big that the darn thing, you know, it won't make a difference spraying any accelerant around it that might pick up the throttle. Look at that right there. It was idling at 1500 RPM. Now I'm going to show you what it was. Here's their old throttle body. And as you can see, off to one side, there's daylight under it. What the heck? There's daylight going around the throttle plate. What in the world? Now, the new one is the same thing. Got a hole going around the throttle plate. No way for the computer to adjust the idle. So I'm thinking, well, it's an electronic throttle, but the body looks like it's the same one that they use for both. It's just that this one has an electric motor mounted on one side that controls the throttle plate. So maybe that's part of the casting for the cable operated one, because the cable operated comes all the way back to base, and then the way it controls idle is it has a little motor in the side called an IAC motor, idle air control, and it creates a vacuum leak around the throttle plate. And it opens it up a little bit to idle it up, closes it to idle it down. Now, if they use the same throttle body for both of them, then how do they eliminate that hole? Well, maybe it's a gasket. I pulled off their new throttle body that they put on up there, and I noticed that the gasket looked a little odd. I mean, it looked good. I mean, there's no cracks in it or anything. Here's their gasket. I got to looking a little closer, and the holes are just a little jagged. Oh, well, shoot, this is a homemade gasket. This isn't store-bought. It's done really good. It's really precise. Everything's cut out according to what the bottom of the throttle body looks like. But you see here, everything's cut out according to the throttle, what the throttle body looks like. And you still have the gigantic vacuum leak. So what I did was I went inside and got my roll of gasket material and peened out a new gasket. When I say peened out, it's mechanics know what I'm talking about. The rounded part of a ball peen hammer. You put it on something hard, like a wooden block, and so that you don't damage this. And you lay your gasket on top of this, and you sit there and tap around the edge, and it will cut the gasket material as you tap it around there. And you do that all over, and you tap around your holes, and it'll actually cut the gasket for you. When you hear somebody say, I peened out a new gasket, that's what they mean. They mean they cut a new gasket. And a lot of times it'll look very professional, look like it was made in a factory, just like this one looks. But this is where you have to slow down a little bit and look at what you're doing and why. Pay attention to the old gasket you took off, because obviously the old gasket didn't have this hole in it right here. I peened out this gasket and I didn't cut any of these two holes, this slot right here or this hole right here. I didn't cut them out. I just left them solid. The only one I cut out was for the throttle plate itself, because that's all it needs. I put it back together. I hit the key on this truck. She fired up and run good. It idled just under 1,000 RPM till it warmed up, and now we're sitting at about 750. That's perfect. It was running close to 1,500 RPM. There's no way to control it. The check engine light, the only code it had in the computer, it should have had misfire codes in it. And yeah, that shocked me that it didn't. But the only code was in the computer was a code that said unexpected high idle. It means the computer has got the throttle plate all the way shut off and it's still running fast and it doesn't know what to do. So just figured I'd fill you in on what I found on this thing. Really simple repair and something that is really easily missed by some mechanics. Not to say that they're bad, but you really get locked in with, oh, it's got to be some computer issue. There's nothing to control it. There's got to be something really bad wrong. It's going to be really expensive. It's going to take me all this time to find. I don't know what to do. And they go for the easier repairs and they put these off until the customer gets upset and takes it somewhere else. I don't know who worked on this one, but I had to think about it for a couple of days. I got home really late last night and I didn't work on it, or otherwise I would have had it fixed last night. But on some things, even in life, you just need to slow down, take a fresh look at it, and maybe you'll find something that you missed. So this is the lesson for today. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the little notification bell. It's down there on the bottom somewhere. Help me out with the channel here. And y'all have a nice day.